I'm Anil Kumar sharing with you few questions on volume of a cylinder. Treat it as a test. You should copy the question, solve them, and then move forward. We'll have a couple of questions in this series. The very first question is, draw three possible cylinders with volume of 100 pi centimeter cube. Note, radius of each should be different. So what I'm trying to say here is that you have to draw cylinders like this. So one could be kind of like this. One could be maybe wider. So if it is wider, it is less taller. You get my idea, right? And if it is narrower, it could be even more taller, right? So that's the whole idea. So you have seen many cylindrical items at home. They may look like this. So whenever we say draw possible means they will have different radius, right? And different height. So we'll call this as radius R and this is the height H. You have to provide with different radius and height so that the volume is 100 pi. So what is common in all these is that volume is 100 pi centimeter cube. That means the unit should be in centimeters. Now the formula for volume is pi r square, that is area of the circle, times height. That is equals to 100 pi. So you can see pi and pi can cancel. So what you really get from this formula is product of radius square and height should be equal to 100. This is what you get. So product of radius square and height is 100, right? So you're looking for two numbers whose product is 100, correct? You could think like this. They are looking for two numbers whose product is 100 and one of them is square of a number, the other one is just like that. For example, you can say 10 times 10 is equal to 100. That could be one thing, correct? You could say 25 times 4 is 100. Do you see that? So you can have different numbers whose product could be 100, right? So that is what we are looking for. So if I say 10 times 10 is 100, in that case, one of the figure here is the height, the other one is the radius, right? So if I take this as the part of radius, this becomes radius square, this becomes height. Now I'll show you this part. This is very interesting. So if it is radius square, that means we are talking about 5 square times 4. Do you see that? So it says 5 square times 4, right? So we can say that 5 is my radius and 4 is my height. So let's say one of those is this one. So where I'm writing this as radius of 5 centimeters and height of 4 centimeters. Does it make sense to you? Volume of this will be r square 25 times 4, 20. 100. Is it okay? So that could be one case. Now if I say 10 times 10, then the radius becomes, let's say 10 we write as 10 centimeters as the height. In that case, what is going to be the radius? Radius is going to be square root of 10. Do you get an idea? Square root of 10 centimeters. Only then when you square it, you get 10 here and 10 times 10 make it 100. Perfect. So you could do like this. Now you get an idea of square root thing. So let me give you one more example. let's say for this, we need smaller height, right? We need very small height. So if I keep the height as just 1, and how about the radius as 1, how about the height? Height could be 100 centimeters. Perfect. That will also give me a volume of 100 pi centimeter cube. So 1 times 100 is also a very good option, correct? So likewise, you can actually create different cylinders for same volume. I have purposely taken pi so that you don't have to calculate decimal values, right? Now, let's move on and see other examples. The question here is, the area of the base of a cylinder is 50.2 centimeters square. Find height if volume is given to you, and find diameter of this cylinder. So let's look into this cylinder. Let me make one here. Right, so that is a cylinder whose area of the base is given to us as 50.2 centimeters square. You get the idea? Now you have to find height if volume is given to us. How do you do that? As you know, volume is area of base times height. We are given the volume of 401.6. Area of the base is given to us as 50.2, and we need to find height. So height is 401.6 divided by 50.2. That gives me the height, correct? Let's use the calculator. You will need calculator for all these questions, okay? So we have 401.6 divided by 50.2, and that gives you the value of 8. So these values are actually, if you get a close by answer, round them to whole number or one decimal value. Since all this is 1, let me write 8.0, and the units are centimeters, correct? So we got part A. Now let's do B, which is find diameter of the cylinder. Now how do you find diameter? Well, for diameter we could use area formula and then do it. Area is pi r square, right? So pi r square is area, which is given to us as 50.2, right? So from here we can find r, the radius. So radius is 50.2 divided by pi, and then you have to square root it, right? So you have to square root it. So we can do square root of this. So let's use the calculator once again. So we have 50.2 divided by pi can be taken as 3.14, right? So you should take pi as 3.14, right? So the as equals to, well, now we'll do just square root of this number. Or you could do directly also. Now we could do square root of the answer to get our answer as, it gives us radius of 3.99, which I'll approximate it to 4. Is it okay? So that becomes the radius for this. Now, if 4 is the radius, what is the diameter? Now, diameter is 2 times radius. Is it okay? So the diameter will be 2 times 4, which is 8 centimeters in this case. Perfect. So we get the same height and diameter in this particular case. It is interesting to note that a cylinder with same diameter and height has maximum volume for same surface area. This is very important to understand. In previous example, you saw that for a given volume, we can make many cylinders. So the cylinder which has same diameter and height will have maximum volume. So that is important to understand. So a container whose radius is half the height will have maximum capacity, right? Okay, so next example here is find volume of a cylinder with height and diameter of 5 centimeters. Find volume of a cylinder with height and diameter of 10 centimeters, right? So that is the next question for you. I'd like you to pause the video, copy the question and solve it. Let's see the solution of this question. Find volume of a cylinder with height and diameter of 5 centimeters. So we have a cylinder here. We are given that the height and the diameter both are 5. So this is 5 centimeters. And this is also 5 centimeter. Diameter means all this. So diameter is equals to 5 centimeter. What should be the radius? Radius is half of 5, which is 2.5 centimeters, correct? The formula for volume, as you know, is pi r square h. Height is also equals to 5 centimeter. So we can calculate this as pi is 3.14. So I'm writing 3.14 times 2.5 whole square times height of 5, and we can now calculate this value, right? So it is 3.14 times, let me write 5 first, times 2.5 square equals 2. In decimals, 98.125, which is, let's say, 98 centimeters square, correct? Now in part 2, we have find volume of cylinder with height and diameter of 10 centimeters. You will note that both height and diameter have been doubled here. So the cylinder which we have is kind of like this. Right? So what is going to be the volume of this cylinder? Whose height is twice the height of the previous cylinder, which is 10, and diameter is also twice. So I'd like you to estimate the answer. First, write it down and then calculate. Correct? So what is going to be your estimate? Well, both are twice. R is square. So my estimate is previous volume of 98. I could round it to 100 times twice and twice square times 2 square times 2. That means I'm expecting 98 times 8 to be exact. So the estimate is 800. Do you understand? 98 is close to 100. Perfect. Now let us calculate. So let's do the calculation now. So we have volume equals to 3.14. That is an approximation. Radius is half, which is 5. So it is 5 square times 10. And let's see how much it is. So we have 3.14 times 5 square times 10 equals to 785. Correct? So the volume is always cubic, centimeter cube. I wrote here square, which is wrong. So I wrote 9.8 centimeter cube. Okay? So that is what you get. So when you double the diameter and the height, both of them, then the volume becomes 8 times. 8 times. Right? So that's very important to understand. With this, let's take a small break and then continue. Good morning. Golden River.